Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast with Jared Kirk and Matt Milbauer. Hey listeners, I want to thank our sponsors. If you haven't noticed, we like sponsors that do something in particular, and that's giving back. You'll notice with both of our sponsors, they give back, and that's one of the reasons we really love them. And we hope that you take a look at what they're doing and help support them so they can help support this hobby and sport that we love. First up, Bird Hunter Supply, your go-to for premium hunting gear at birdhuntersupply.com. This family-owned business, run by a husband and wife team from Idaho, is driven by their love for bird hunting, dog training, and the great outdoors. For them, hunting is a treasured family tradition. Think crisp mornings in the field, the thrill of the chase, and those irreplaceable moments with dogs, family, and friends. They've built Bird Hunter Supply to share that passion, curating high-quality gear to help you create your own lasting hunting memories with your crew. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned hunter, Bird Hunter Supply has you covered with top-notch equipment from dog training tools to hunting apparel, backed by exceptional customer service to make your experience unforgettable. Best of all, they're deeply committed to preserving the wild spaces we love. When you shop at birdhuntersupply.com, you can choose at checkout to direct a percentage of your order to conservation powerhouses like Pheasants Forever, Ruffed Grouse Society, or Delta Waterfowl. Your purchase helps these groups protect vital habitats and sustain the wildlife that makes our sport possible, ensuring hunting traditions thrive for generations. Visit birdhuntersupply.com today. Explore their carefully selected gear and support a family-run business dedicated to both hunters and the outdoors. That's birdhuntersupply.com. Gear up, hunt with purpose, and help preserve the wild. Now let's talk about our next sponsor, Hunt Ready. If you chase birds like we do, you know a great upland vest is one of the most important pieces of gear you own. Hunt Ready builds tough, modular, ultra-light strap vests that are sourced and sewn right here in the USA. Their Deviate and Elevate series use smart, patented designs that actually stay comfortable mile after mile, whether you're carrying birds, water, or extra shells. They're built by hunters for hunters who put in real miles in the uplands. But what really sets them apart is their Pave the Way program. It's a first-of-its-kind initiative focused on getting high-quality vests to the next generation of upland hunters. They accept nominations for kids who are fired up about bird hunting and work to help equip as many as they can so those kids can get out there building real memories with their dog and their shotgun. If you're in the market for a new vest or you want to keep upland hunting alive for kids, check out Hunt Ready at huntready.com. That's HUNTREDI.com. Lastly, but definitely not least, I want to thank all of you patrons out there that support us on Patreon. You keep the lights on month after month. Really, thank you for your support. Links to all of our sponsors and their really cool programs that give back are linked in our podcast description, and credits to our producers. If you're interested in becoming a producer of the show, you can check the link there and find out how. Welcome to another episode of the Go Flush Yourself podcast. As always, I'm Matt, here with my co-host Jared. Jared, how's it going?
Good, Matt. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, just trying to get through the summer here so we can get back in the field. Yeah, we are joined by a guest today, Mr. Rob Hubble, who you may know from the YouTube channel Northwest Wingshooters, which is one of Jared and I's favorite channels to watch. I don't think I've missed a video yet, and probably went back and watched the backlog. But Rob, thanks for coming on.
You guys for having me.
Yeah. So, what made you decide to want to start a YouTube channel?
So I started the YouTube channel, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago now. Um, and back then there was not a whole lot of people making YouTube videos about upland bird hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of saw a void, and I liked to watch YouTube videos, and in particular, about mountain biking and stuff like that. And so I kind of figured I would try to record my hunts and see how it went.
Nice. Well, it seemed to work out well,
Yeah.
and kind of as you kind of alluded to, there's a much larger group of people out there making videos like that. But yours still kind of stand out as they feel really authentic, I think. So that's
Well,
good.
thank you. Yeah, I
That-
try not to do too much editing, and I try to make it pretty raw. So try to capture the real experience as best I can.
Yeah, has the channel kind of worked out like how you wanted it to or how you envisioned it to go, I guess?
So when I started it with, I was actually going to start it with a couple buddies of mine. This was back when we lived in Western Washington. And it was kind of a group idea, but they started to realize how much work was involved in making videos and doing video editing and stuff like that. And then they kind of fell off, I guess, and I just kind of, because of my job, because of my schedule, I have a lot of time available for video editing, and it's something that I like to do. So I just kind of kept going with it. Um, yeah. So and honestly, I kind of do it selfishly. It's not like I make money doing it or anything, like that. It's really cool to have like most of my hunts captured and have all those memories preserved.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I'm sure if you went back, if I had video of some of my old hunts, they would be different than what how I recall them, for better or worse, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, that
Yeah,
probably is
and
really
then you
cool.
always see stuff that you forgot about, and it kind of brings back memories, so it's
Yeah.
cool.
So how does that work then? So can you kind of walk us through like from for a video from the hunt, yeah, yeah, maybe how you record until like the upload to YouTube? Like what's that process? You can give us a higher level. What's that process look like?
So, like I said, I try not to do too much. So basically, I just, I was using GoPros. Now I've switched
Hmm.
just this last season to the DJI camera, which I think is a
Oh,
lot better than the GoPros nowadays. The GoPros nowadays, I've been having a lot of issues with overheating and data corruption.
really?
So, I would go hunt and then I'd get an SD card error and then now like I can't make my video. You know what I mean? So I've switched to the DJI camera. I like those, but yeah, basically I just strap a GoPro or a DJI now on my head, and the DJIs come with these nice little lapel mics. I don't know if you guys use cameras at all. They're like Bluetooth mics, and they got a pretty good range. So
Nice.
you can actually put one on a buddy and like get good audio back and forth, which is also a really nice feature. Not have to do like subtitles because people can't hear what they're saying. Um, so I'll typically throw one of those lapel mics on me and a friend if someone's joining me, and then we basically just go hunting and record. It's nice to have a pointing dog because you know when the birds are gonna be coming.
Right.
So it's not like you're recording all the time. And I suppose with a flushing dog, you kind of can tell when they're birdie too and start recording in that regard. But um, yeah, basically, dog goes on point. I start recording. It captures a little bit prior to that, so you kind of can see the dog working a little bit, before.
Mm,
And then I get all these raw files at home, and I just go back and watch it all and kind of see what I can make from it. Um, if on a typical hunt, if I go hunt for 5 or 6 hours, I'll end up with about 30 minutes of video that I can use and cut that down and edit it. The editing process, that's the most time consuming thing, watching all the video and seeing what you can use. Um, that
yeah.
process, I've definitely, changing the way that I've recorded, switching to the lapel mic and not having to do captions as much now, that's saved me a lot of time, but it still takes, anywhere between 5 to 10 hours to make a video, depending on the
Wow.
video.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you must really love video editing, like you said then, 'cause
It's
that's a
very time
lot.
consuming, but like I said, because of my job, I have a lot of time on the road where I'm just like in a hotel room alone.
Ah,
Those are the moments that I use for video editing. If
gotcha.
not for that, I honestly probably wouldn't do it, or at least not do it as much.
Right. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
that's fair. Since you kind of brought up cameras, like have the cameras like made you kind of like, I guess, like change the way you hunt or anything like that?
No, but you definitely feel that pressure, right? You feel like, oh, I gotta, shoot birds in order to make a video, but I really try not to let that get to me. And like I said, I really try to have an authentic hunt. And there's a ton of hunts that don't go on YouTube. Like, I think this past season I made 12 videos. I definitely hunt more than 12 times a season. I'm usually hunting 50 plus times per season. So it's not every video makes it to YouTube, and not every hunt gets filmed. There's definitely hunts that I take where I just don't want to fuss with it. And, if I'm hunting with my dad or, an old friend, and it's just like, I'm just going to go have a good time and not worry about fussing with cameras and stuff. So that, there's definitely times that I take for myself like that.
That's good.
But
That probably gives you kind of like
yeah,
a good, like, off and on, you know,
yeah.
takes
Conversely,
the,
there's also hunts where I'm like, man, I should have filmed that because that was really freaking cool. You
yeah,
know?
there is that.
So
My my favorite scene out of all of your videos, and I'm sure other people share the same thing, is I think it was Dizzy went kind of down under some rocks and pulled a chucker out that fell down the hole. Like,
yeah, the
uh,
Chucker Spelunker, I think is what we called
yes,
that.
yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
when those kinds of things are happening, like, are you ever thinking about like do you ever just think I can't think about the video right now. I have to get down. Or maybe you're not thinking about it at all. But when those kinds of like crazy things are happening like that, where your dog's going down into these boulders and getting a chuck there, which is just incredible. Um, like, does that sense come into your mind about this is really good video, or I don't want to
I
show
mean,
this, or
yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of people that were like, "Oh, you shouldn't let your dog do that. It's dangerous."
I
And
was wondering.
there's even people that say, "Oh, you shouldn't let your dogs range that far. They're gonna get killed by a cougar or something like that." And it's like, well, yeah, that could be true, but that's just the chance we take. And I think that if the dog knew the risk, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if we knew for sure that the dog knew the risk, I think they would still do what they love.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
100%.
and that dog really loves getting birds out of the ground. So um, as long as I think it's safe, then I'm going to let her go in there. If you're talking about the video that I think you're talking about, I actually wasn't even there when
Oh,
it
that's
happened.
right.
And
It was your friend
yeah,
who
he
was
was
by your dog. Yeah,
right. She retrieved his bird
that's
that went
right.
down in the rock. And then it's kind of funny because when she was pulling it out of the rocks, he tried to get it from her and she totally juked him out coming out of the hole and walked right past him and up over the hill and brought his bird to me.
I remember
She
that
knows
now.
what's
I
up.
remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about your Brittany's. So Jared and I both have Springers. I've had Labs. We've had multiple different kinds of Flushing dogs and hunt with like my family has Labs. So we're mainly Flushing dog type people, hence the podcast. But
Mhm.
uh, our Springers and their cousins, the Cocker, get a bad rep for being crackheads. And I think Brittany's kind of have that rep too in the pointing world. Maybe I'm wrong and you can tell me I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
how are your Brittany's in the home?
They're pretty good. My Brittany's are half American, half French, so they kind of
Hmm.
have, it's typically the American Brittany, I think, that is more crazy.
Right.
Cooper, who was my first dog, he was pure American Brittany, and he was a handful in the house until he was about age 6. Um, but these two are a lot better. These two are half French, half American that I got from Sunburst Brittany's out in
Right.
New Plymouth. So, they have that French Brittany temperament, which is really nice, but they still have the range and confidence in the field when they're hunting. So it's a good balance from them. And they're also, they're good listeners. So if they are doing something you don't want them to do, it doesn't take much to correct them and point them in the right direction. So,
Nice.
but just like any other working dog, you have to exercise them. You can't expect to go buy a hunting dog as a lot of people do and either don't hunt it or off season comes and now it's a couch potato. You have to go do stuff with your dog in order to
Right.
burn some of that energy out. We
Very
do a lot
good.
of mountain biking during the summer. That's good cross training for us. The dogs like doing that, running, stuff like that. So
Do you
Cool.
have like a
try to keep them
whole
active.
like roading setup for that or
No, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. Basically, I just go out into the foothills on my mountain bike and we ride mountain bike trails that are off leash friendly trails. And the
oh gotcha.
dogs are they've learned to just follow behind the bike and not get in front of me.
Oh,
It's
nice.
kind of something I train them to do. Yeah.
How did you just because that's something I've been trying to get my dog into is like trying to get into mountain biking, just like stuff to get used to and stuff, get for the off season. How'd you work on training them just out of curiosity?
Well, you keep an e-collar on them. You have to make sure that they know leave it because there's a
Yeah,
lot of distractions out on the trail. You
true.
know, um, other dogs, especially off leash. And people, and then
Right.
basically, and also heel's a good one too. But I teach them bike or trail,
Oh, okay.
which is like not it's not heel, which was beside me, but it's more behind me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That way, they're not interfering with your pedals or getting caught in your wheel or anything like that.
Sure, that makes
But
sense.
and I just do that from doing it with them and having an e-collar on them.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
That's
You
cool.
know,
Yeah, Bones and my bridge would have fun fun doing that if they could figure it out,
Yes.
Jared. Be a
Yeah.
blast. So, Rob, I don't know what your experience level is with flushing dogs. I bet you find it over a lab at some point, just because most people have. But
yeah, my cousin has a lab.
oh, perfect, perfect. So, as f folks like us who are flushing dog people, what are we missing with pointing dogs, and maybe namely the Brittany?
So I actually grew up with labs too, so I should say that as well.
Perfect,
Oh, nice.
perfect.
Um, yeah, I didn't really get to hunt with them, but my dad did. He was a big pheasant hunter. My dad was.
Okay.
He still is, as I'm sure you've seen on the channel. He comes and hunts with me still.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
kind of what drove me towards the pointing breed was the fact that they can just cover so much ground. And especially when you're out in the Chucker Hills, I feel like that's such a huge advantage to have a dog that can go 3, 4, 500 yards out and find birds and stop and wait for you to get there, you know, just constantly going versus a flushing dog, which is going to be within shooting range in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I think is the big advantage with the pointing dog. And I mean, I think it's pretty cool too. Just that style of hunting, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%.
I know you mentioned how people will say, "Oh, you shouldn't let your dogs range out that much." I feel like yours don't range out as much as other bird dogs, and I know Brittany's are, on average, a little closer working than some of the other pointing or
Yeah.
versatile breeds. But um, I think if that's the case, like from what I've seen in your videos, it's cool to actually watch them go one point where they're not, 500 yards away, and you are like, "Oh, they're on point." I know that happens to you sometimes we've seen the video, but to actually see the point seems like maybe one of the
Yeah.
most
See them
thrilling
stop and lock
things.
is really
Yeah,
cool.
exactly.
Especially when we're hunting quail, they're typically working close, and they're both really good
Oh,
at controlling their range based on what we're hunting. Dizzy in particular, she knows what gear we're in. She's like, if we're hunting quail, she's checking every single bush. So she's not going to have time to range. She's going from sagebrush clump to sagebrush clump looking for, one bird, you know. Um, so she kind of changes. But the other thing about, YouTube is even when we're chukar hunting, it's really hard to capture what their range is
yeah,
because I only hit record when I'm there and you guys can see something. You know
that's
what I mean? It
Yeah.
true.
doesn't make sense for me to record on a GoPro when they're 400 yards away.
That's
You're not
true.
you're not going to see anything. And so I think there's some of that, but they're not like English pointer style where they're out, quarter mile away. Um,
Sure,
they
sure.
they don't go beyond 500 yards, and Dizzy really doesn't go beyond 200. If she
Mm,
does, I know for sure that she's on birds. So
right,
and yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That makes sense.
Interesting, interesting.
What made you pick Brittany's?
the size.
Hmm.
They're a pretty small dog
Yeah.
and they're very capable for their size. They do everything. They'll retrieve. Some are better than others. Mine retrieve pretty well.
Yeah.
Jasper is a work in progress. This was his first full season, but I think he's going to be a really good retriever. Dizzy will retrieve birds. Doesn't like to play fetch or anything, but she retrieves birds. Kind of hesitant about it sometimes, but um, yeah, the size is kind of what drew us to the Brittany because we were living in a kind of a smaller house at the time that we got Cooper, and then I when we moved to Idaho, I found these sunburst dogs, and now I think I'm Brittany as long as they're breeding dogs.
Fair enough.
Nice.
What's the average size of a Brittany?
Um, the average size of a American Brittany is about 40 pounds for a male and 30 for a female, I think.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Dizzy and I think the Frenches run a little bit smaller. Dizzy is about 27 pounds. She's pretty small,
Okay.
which is that's how she can get in those holes and stuff, I guess.
yeah.
Um, Jasper is he's over 40. He's like 43 pounds, so he's pretty tall and lanky, and he's got some muscle on him.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
there's oh go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's sort of Springer size basically.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I was out a couple weekends ago with some friends, like at a winery, like on outside porch area, patio area, and people could bring dogs, and it wasn't too busy. But this guy walked in. I thought, oh, that guy has a Springer, but it was, liver colored Brittany. And I'm like, oh, you got a
Oh,
Springer? He's like, no, it's a Brittany. He started trying to tell me like
he's
Brittany's aren't
offended.
Springers, and I'm like, no, I know, I
Yeah.
I have Springers. Like I love Brittany's too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just funny, but I'm like, oh yeah, forget they're not just orange, because you're used to seeing the
Yeah, I have
orange.
a friend Miles. He has a Brittany that's liver, and he looks very similar to the dog that's in your picture here that I'm looking at.
Oh yeah, that's one of my Springers.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny because my head Springers are liver and or black and Brittany's are orange, but Brittany's come in a lot more colors than that, especially the French Brittany's, right? They come in
The
lots of different
French, yeah, the
colors.
French you can even get black too.
Yeah, yeah, because they have black
Huh.
noses even, right? Because like a
Jasper's dad is black and white, Roan.
oh, that's cool.
He's a really pretty dog, but he's hard to find in the rocks when you're chucker hunting because he kind of
That's
blends
probably
in
true.
Yeah.
with the lava rock.
Yeah, they blend in with the basalt for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never think of that. I've one of my springers is black and white, and I like black labs. I like black and white springer a little better if it came down to me picking colors. And if I ever got a Brittany, I'd want to find one of the French Brittany like black ones because I think they look cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
nice, nice. So you're talking about Brittany's and that it sounds like you're locked into Sunburst and their program, which is awesome. I can see why I've been watching your videos for sure. But if we said, Rob, you can't have a Brittany anymore and you have to get a Flushing dog,
Hmm.
what are you gonna get?
Well, I've definitely toyed around with the idea of getting a cocker,
Okay. Okay.
um, specifically for quail hunting. There's times when the
Yeah.
dogs will go on point and the quail are in the middle of a big clump of willows or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the dogs just won't break point to get in and flush them. And so I'm like trying to toss rocks in there to get the birds to fly, but sometimes the birds just won't fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh
in
yeah.
that in those moments, it would be really nice to have a little dog that could get in there and flush them out.
Yeah, those birds they learn like in the Russian olives, which I know you're used to as well. Like when those big thick patches of those, I think the quail learn nothing's gonna get
Yeah,
me in
they don't
there.
have to
I'm
fly.
Yeah, the
They can
best
Yeah.
get
thing I
away
can do
from it.
is hold tight. And
Exactly.
I will say one of my springers, actually the one in the picture there, Sophie, she will head first climb in those things. Like my other
Mm-hmm.
ones kind of run on the outside, like they're in there, and Sophie just puts her head down, goes in there, and if they're in there, she's gonna harass them enough to get them out,
Yeah.
usually. But yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that is fun, and that is kind of the perk of, I guess, of a dog that'll do that, and because they're not on point. But yeah. So a cocker, is that your answer, or is that you're kind of
That
toying with
would that
some?
would be my answer, I think.
Cool.
If I had to go get one tomorrow, it would probably be a cocker.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cockers are cool, and as listeners of the podcast can attest, I had a cocker for a little bit, but I'm always cocker curious, and I'm sure I'll have another one at some point because they're fun. They're just
Yeah.
like they're little clowns, and they're a challenge in some ways because they're so smart and because they like a challenge, more so than even a
Mm-hmm.
Springer, but but it's just fun, right? Like they want to problem solve, and so like some of the training, I think you could do it any way you wanted, but is helping them learn how to problem solve. Like you got to set up the problem for them, or they're going to get bored, right? So
Yeah.
it's fun. They're just yeah, they're cool little dogs, and they're tiny too.
I actually don't know like a whole lot about them. I think I've hunted with one once.
Yeah.
And it did a phenomenal job. It was the only flusher in a whole, I think there was four of us hunting and we each had two pointer dogs on the ground. It was the only flusher and it stayed at heel the whole
Oh
time
wow.
until the dogs would go on point and then he would send it in and it did its job perfectly.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
maybe I just have a really good impression. Maybe that was just a really well trained dog, or I don't know, but it just made an impression on me, I guess.
So I'm to the point now where one of my springers will walk at heel, and the other one, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but um, they just want to hunt. But yeah, if you could get a cocker like that and train it, which they're really smart and trainable, as I'm sure the Brittany's are as well. It's probably similar, but it just takes that work to get the training done if you have a well-bred one. But it's also different from hunting with a cocker at heel while the other dogs point and just hunting with a flushing dog, like watching them work
Yeah.
cover like a little mosquito trying to, find someone to bite. Like it's all over the place. It's entertaining and fun to watch, but it's much different than even hunting over a lab, right? Like they're just little busybodies like swarming around cover trying to find
Yeah,
birds.
I think they would make great quail dogs, and
Oh,
we hunt a lot of
100%.
quail. So
100%. Yeah. Well, maybe someday in the future on Northwest Wingshooters, we'll see a cocker and running
you
around.
just might see one. Probably not while I'm at this house, but we we're pretty maxed out in dog wise right now, so we need
Yeah,
more room before we get another one.
relatable. That's very relatable. Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, relatable.
We have a little terrier too that you don't see on the channel, so it's a three dog household, so it's a little
Nice.
much right now. Four would be crazy.
We also have two Yorkies, so it's little, but they're like
Okay. Yep.
4 pounds, so they don't really count. They don't
Yeah.
even go outside. Like they have a little potty pad, so I really don't
Yep.
count them, but technically I have four dogs.
When you go on vacation and you have to board them, it's still it definitely counts as
It
a
still
dog.
counts as a dog. It still counts, yeah.
Yeah. So things
That's
like that, vet visits, all that stuff adds
Oh
up.
yeah. The vet
This
still
is
charges
true.
the same, and the Yorkies tend to be even more expensive with their little digestive systems. It's just ugh, it's a
Temperamental.
mess.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, to say the least. So you obviously hunt the Pacific Northwest, and you mentioned you're from Idaho and you still live in Western Washington. We're in Eastern Washington, hunting similar areas to people not from here, because if you took a survey of the upland hunters in the US, most would not be in the Northwest, right? They'd be elsewhere. Um, what is it in your thoughts, and we have our own obviously, that makes this area great upland bird country?
I think it's the diversity of habitat.
Mhm.
You know, you can hunt. I mean, there's been times when I've actually hunted forest grouse, pheasants, sharptails all in one hunt. Huns too, in that uh, there's places where I hunt where you can hunt rough grouse and quail on the same hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just don't think that you see that anywhere else. You go out to the Dakotas and it's kind of all, it's all pheasant and sharptail. There's
right.
some, prairie chickens mixed in there too, but you just don't have the diversity of habitat, so you don't get as many opportunities for different species, I suppose. And it's just downright beautiful out here.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I think I
Yeah.
mentioned it in our podcast with Wayment, but essentially, we have you can be in a couple hours, you can be in somewhere completely looking different with completely different species. And our numbers for certain species might not be as good as the Dakotas or, the upper Midwest or whatever,
Yeah,
but to your point, if you get bored with one species or one biome, you just move on to the next one because it's not that far away.
exactly. Yeah. And I kind of do that. Like I'll start the season out hunting forest grouse, which I really
Mhm.
enjoy doing. And then I transition to other birds. I'll start with quail, and I really try to stay out of the Chucker Hills, um, until like late October. Although I
Mhm.
do it, I try to limit it to morning hunts just to stay away from snakes
Yeah.
primarily.
Oh yeah.
So, kind of shift around based on those kind of factors.
Washington versus Idaho, if we can look at those two, what are the differences there? Like which one? You obviously live in Idaho now, but I know, where we live isn't always where we prefer to hunt because there's other factors. But which
Yeah.
one, like what are the differences you see there? Are they pretty much the same, just a different shape, or are you seeing differences between the two? On like which
Um,
one's better for upland or which one is more fun for upland or whatever.
I got to be careful here because I might make some people in Idaho upset.
Make them upset. It's
Well, I might
fine.
upset both states. I might
Yeah.
upset both states. when I
This
say
is
this,
true.
but
Yeah.
I've taken trips to Washington back, to hunt with old friends and stuff like that. And the past couple times I've done it, I just wished I was in Idaho the whole time. Aside from the company, um,
Sure.
it's I don't know, especially the chucker hunting. The chucker hunting is phenomenal out here, and in Oregon
Yeah.
as well. I actually hunt in Oregon a lot too, and I don't say in the videos where I'm hunting typically,
Right.
um, but most of my chucker hunts are probably in Oregon.
Wow, nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want a hotspot, but it's already known. Like, is it pretty much Hell's Canyon, or is it more widespread than that for Chucker? And you can answer
I
that as
don't hunt
broadly as you
Hell's
want.
Canyon a whole lot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's it.
I maybe last year I went there once.
People that aren't from our area probably think like, well, why wouldn't you go there all the time? But I just know there's a lot of hills and mountains
Yeah,
across
they
the
don't call it.
yes.
interior Northwest.
Yeah, and they don't call it Hell's Canyon for nothing. I mean, it's tough country to walk.
This is
There's
Sure.
true.
there's there's easier places to chase birds,
Right. Right.
but it is beautiful and the bird numbers are phenomenal. So, I mean, you have to do it, at least a little bit. There's definitely years where other areas aren't as good because there's not as consistent of a water source as there is in Hell's Canyon. They got
Sure.
that, they got the Mighty Snake River flowing down through there, so there's plenty of water for the birds. So in years where there's not a lot of water elsewhere, people tend to flock to that place. And that's
That makes
another reason
sense.
why I don't hunt there as much because everyone knows about it, and
Yeah.
you do see a lot more competition for hunting spots there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Including people
and
who don't even live here.
I
Like
don't like
it's
being around people. I don't like competition, so I go where there aren't people.
No, that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're in good company with us with that.
Yeah. So since you have hunted the three states, what's your rank? How do you rank
Uh,
them out?
well, for are we? I mean, they're both better for certain things. I would say Washington is better for pheasant
Okay.
than Idaho.
Okay.
I haven't hunted pheasants in Oregon, but quail. Um, Quail's pretty good in Idaho and Oregon. It's pretty good in Washington too, but what I've noticed about Washington is that the cover is a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in my experience, quail will tend to run more when they're in thicker cover,
Hmm.
whereas
Hmm.
if the cover's thinner, they'll tend to hold in, bushes, to try to hide from, their main predator, or what am I trying to say? Their main yeah, I guess predator is hawks, right? So
Right.
Right.
they're always trying to stay in cover away from, line of sight to the sky. And I think that in Washington, the places that I've hunted quail are just a little bit thicker and the birds tend to move more, so you don't get as good a dog work. But there are, the numbers are there. There's good quail numbers in Washington too.
Yeah.
Forest grouse, I think, is great in all three states.
What
Interesting.
a,
I'll have to pick your brain on where you're getting the where you're getting into grouse in Washington.
Not, yeah, you'd have to, well, from where you're at, you'd have to drive a couple hours probably.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We're about as far as you can get from a forest and be in Washington State, I think. So
The nice thing about hunting them in Idaho and Eastern Washington is that it's easier to find where the rough grouse are going to be.
True.
Um,
mm,
in Western Washington, hunting rough grouse in Western Washington is very difficult because it's thick everywhere you go. In Eastern
right.
Washington, it's sparse, and then you go where it's thick. You're looking
Right.
for aspen draws and stuff like that. And down in those bottoms and those aspen draws is where the rough grouse are going to be.
Yeah, actually I never thought about that. I would just assume, oh, there's more forest in Western Washington. It must be better. Even if it's better, even if there's more birds, it's can you find them?
Right. Yeah.
That makes a lot of
And
sense.
it's just harder to discern what is walkable terrain. Like what should I even bother walking in Western Washington versus Eastern Washington, Oregon, or Idaho?
It's fair. It's really fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone was coming to the Northwest, um, to upland hunt for some reason, they skipped over the Dakotas, they skipped over eastern Montana, and they said, I'm gonna go hunt in the Northwest. And maybe they're chucker hunting, right? Maybe that's why they're out here.
Yeah.
But for any reason, what would you what advice would you give them kind of broadly if they're out, whether they're looking for maybe they want a mixed bag, right? Like they're like, where do I
Hmm.
go, Rob? What should I look for? I've never been out that way before.
Yeah. Well, again, it kind of depends on what species you're trying to pursue. Like you say, most people are looking for chukar, so I guess we could talk about
Yeah,
chukar.
let's do Chucker.
Um, Chukar, you want to look for somewhere with good water, like I said. So
Hmm.
whether that be above a reservoir, a river, it can be a big spring, creek, even. Just has to be a consistent year-round source of water below. And then you want a hill, preferably with some rocks, because that's where chukar like to nest and roost, is
Yep.
in the rocks. So you want rocks above and cheatgrass. And if you have those three things, you're probably gonna find chukar.
How far away from water can they be? Because usually in the hills I'm up on, there's not too much water near there. So you're mentioning Hell's Canyon, how the Snake River is their water source, but if they're up top, that's a long ways down. Is that not that far for a chucker?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
they
fly.
will go down there if they need to, but there's times of the year where they don't need to.
Okay,
So they won't go down. Like during the winter, when most of the winter when we're hunting them, there's frequent rainfall, there's snow,
got it.
so there's water pooling in the rocks, so they don't necessarily need to go down to the river. Um, but the fact that there is a consistent year-round source, that's what gets them through the summer,
Ah,
and you
I
have
see.
better chick,
Makes
production
sense.
and so that's why the numbers are so great in Hell's Canyon because they have that nice, body of water down there. But you get that anywhere where you have those three things, where you have rocks, cheatgrass, and consistent year-round water, you're going to find a good amount of birds. Now, there's also other factors like, did a big storm come through in the spring and wipe out all the chicks or,
Right.
stuff like that. But yeah, typically, those are the three things you want to look for when you're trying to find good chukar country.
Yeah, so a hill or canyon side, maybe not canyon, but valley side, I guess I'll say, in eastern Washington next to the Columbia or the Snake or the Yakima or something is better than one out in the middle of nowhere where maybe there is a water source, but not like that, where you can have a more sustainable year-round population. That makes a lot of sense. I don't
Yeah,
sucker hunt really,
they'll
so I don't really think about it. That's
yeah.
interesting.
They'll use guzzlers and stuff like that, and you can use onyx
Hmm.
and look, for springs on onyx and stuff. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of springs out there that aren't marked on onyx,
Oh, sure.
True.
and you can kind of tell just from looking at satellite imagery like where a spring is out in the middle of the desert because you're going to see, out here you're probably going to find Russian olive stands, and those are pretty easy to spot on satellite imagery.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense, actually. I'm just used to hunting near water because I'm usually hunting pheasant. So I'm always kind of
Yeah,
near water, like that seems to be where the pheasants want to be. And the quail just
I
happen to be
always
there
used to
as
call
well.
pheasants a wetland bird, not an upland bird,
Yeah,
because you always find
Yeah.
them in the wetland.
yeah, they're not waterfowl, they're not upland, they're wetland. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really
Yeah, yeah,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah. Jared, you had that one the last one time we were out with was swimming away from you.
It's true. I did. That was interesting.
He was
And it
swimming like a
wasn't
duck.
wounded. It was just
Yeah.
No, it
swimming.
was it
Okay.
ended up getting wounded and landed in the river and started swimming away from me.
Yeah, I've had that happen a few times too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got it. He ended up getting it one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
if you have a good dog, it's not a problem.
I don't,
Otherwise, it can get interesting.
yeah, I can get Western real quick.
My dad and I
Um,
had one. My dad and I had a pheasant do that to us when Cooper was really young. It went down in like a slough. We were hunting in Western Washington on one of the release sites over there, and it went down in a slough and it swam to the other side and tucked itself up in the brush. And Cooper was just a puppy, and we were like yelling at him, trying to get him over there to get the bird, and just throwing. If eventually we figured out we should just throw a rock where the bird went down because he liked to play fetch. So that's what we did. We just threw a rock over into the brush, and he was able to find it that way. But
sometimes that works. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I can throw anything and the dogs will like, oh. He threw what looked like maybe
Yeah.
a tennis ball. Let's go try to find it. Yeah.
Yeah. Since that moment, that's my go-to move in those situations. Just find a rock and throw it where
Yep.
you think the bird went.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
It works. Um, okay, let's play another game. We talked about dogs, we talked about states. Let's talk about birds. So we talked about pheasants, quail, and for the non-Northwest folks, we're talking va valley quail, chucker, huns, sharpies. I guess overnight he had
Yeah, we talked
Yeah,
sharpies.
about
we have
that.
Sharpies in Idaho.
Okay,
Yeah, we
so
have
if you had
huntable.
to, two things, you had to pick one to hunt. That's the last one you can hunt forever, just one bird. Which one would you pick and
Hmm.
why? Uh, Forest grouse, if I didn't say that as well. And then separately, what's one if I said you had to get rid of one, you can never hunt it again? Which one would you pick?
Oh man, this is a tough one because
Yeah.
I always thought that it would be quail, and it probably still is my answer. As
To keep?
for the bird, yeah, the only one
Okay.
I could keep. It's probably
Yeah.
still quail, but Chucker's very close, and it's not really the bird so much that does it for me. It's the way that you hunt them that I really enjoy.
Mm.
Um, it's really good exercise. Like you feel like you did something after a chucker hunt, you know.
Good point.
But when it comes down to it, when I get older, I probably won't be able to hunt them like I do now. So I would have to say quail because they're a little more friendly to the hunter, that you don't have to do, you don't have to you don't have to almost kill yourself chasing them. But you get really nice dog work from quail, and there's usually big numbers of them. You get those nice covey explosions and
Yeah.
fast shooting. So I would have to say quail still, but chucker is really a close second. Um, and then I don't know, man. The one I'd have to leave. That's a really tough one. I would have to say forest grouse probably.
Okay. Okay.
And it's not because I don't enjoy hunting forest grouse, but I think that you don't get as good a dog work hunting forest grouse as you
Yeah.
do on a.
Okay. See, these are like pointer guy answers.
Andy's
Like,
not gonna like that answer when he hears this.
no, man, that guy likes his grouse, doesn't he? Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny because like dog work is very different for us fleshing people, and it's barely even dog work, right? It's just my dogs are trying to get birds in the air any way they can. And so when I'm thinking about what I like to hunt and where I like to hunt, cover and whatnot, I'm not thinking about dog work in particular, right? Like I'm thinking about what do I want to
Yeah.
do today? What do I want to
Or
try
in
to
the
do
same way.
today? Yeah, yeah, not in the
Right.
same way. You do, but it's not how
Yeah.
you're thinking about it, right? And so we don't talk about that often on this podcast, obviously being a fleshing dog podcast, but for those who maybe aren't familiar, what do you mean by dog work?
In particular, you want the birds to hold.
Right?
Yeah.
You also don't get great dog work on pheasants from a pointing dog
Right.
because they like to run, right? So I like birds that hold. So Huns, Chucker will run too, but if you get them in the right cover, they hold pretty well. Chucker, Huns, and quail are probably the best dog, or I'm sorry, the best birds for a pointing dog of the birds that we have here in the Northwest. Sharp tails also are pretty good for pointing dogs.
Right.
I think a lot of people train their dogs on sharp tails, um, especially early season. But yeah, with the rough grouse, they just have too many. They have too many places to escape. They'll just
Mm,
fly up to the tree.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will shoot them out of the tree, but I don't do that. So I'll typically pitch a stick or shake the tree to try to get them to fly.
Right.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, like our
So it's
dog
just not
work.
as sporting, I suppose. And the dog works
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah, for sure. So like our dog work, I'm thinking because it's not something we think about as actively as folks with pointing breeds, but our like the pheasant, which is the most probably some of the worst kind of looking dog work because they're running. Like that's some of the best we see because I could just see my spaniels like working the scent, trying to work the bird, trying to get it trapped to where it has to
Right.
fly. And that's the most fun thing to watch because you can almost see where the rooster's going because you see which way they're going and where the nose is on the ground and they're birdie and chasing the rooster. Whereas it's still fun when they flush, like, let's say Huns, but they're gonna hold for the most part, not always for my flushing dogs, but it's just kind of like, yeah, they flush them cool, like nothing wrong with that, but there's less buildup to it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I could see that.
all of a sudden it happens. And I don't know, maybe that also makes the pheasant easier for us to shoot because, like, all right, something's about to happen, as opposed to
Right.
with quail and Huns and others like that, it's like it just happens. Like, oh wow, I didn't
It's a
even realize they
surprise.
were on a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is also fun
Yeah, I
because then you
could
got to
see that.
snap shoot, real quick, and that's also has its own kind of fun.
Yeah. And a well-trained flushing dog is gonna work that pheasant so it's not putting too much pressure where it's gonna flush out of range. It's gonna be like tracking it slowly enough that you're still in range, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When all
It's
goes to
that's
not.
the
plan,
goal.
yes.
That's the
Yes.
plan, and it does work out that way, often enough. But sometimes it
Yeah,
doesn't. Sometimes the
right.
bird's not cooperating because it's just going to run, and I watch either prey drive kicks in too heavily, or the dog's just like the only way I have a chance to get this bird in the air is if I keep up with it. I
Yeah,
think guessing that's the thought process they might have is I just have to. I don't have a choice. I have to
I
chase it
think
because
you're I think you're probably right.
it's running too hard. I see that sometimes. Often I'll see like my Springer Bridge. I'll see her um do what you described for the most part, and she's always checking in with me to see how far she is, and she's rarely out of range. And Bones is pretty good at that too, Jared. I won't talk about my other
Yeah.
Springer, but but every once in a while I'll see her just take off beeline. I know I physically saw the bird like a rooster and it's running and she's just in her brain like I have to go do what I
Yeah, when
can.
they see it, it's over. Even the pointing dogs, mine will break if they see a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll pounce in. Yeah, which it's not desirable, but it happens. They just get too excited.
What
Yeah.
I've been
Can't blame
doing,
them.
and I have no idea if it's going to work, but this off season, because I have a canal behind my house, I just talked about this last podcast, so if it seems repetitious for our listeners, I apologize. But well, I didn't talk about this exact thing, but I have a canal behind my house, irrigation ditch, and there's always ducks on it, just a bunch of mallards, right? And I take my dogs walking along it, and they just want to go nuts, right? They want to go jump in and get those ducks to fly or whatever they think they're going to do to them. But I hup, make them sit, make them just watch them. Like, just watch it. You want to sit
Hmm.
here, watch the ducks. Don't move. They have their e-collars on. Like, they know what happens if they move, and they just hup and watch them. So I'm trying to get them to understand, like, just because you see it doesn't mean you have to chase it,
And kill it.
and
Yeah.
kill it,
Yeah.
or even just chase it out of range. Like, just sit, just watch it. It's not
Yeah.
going anywhere. It's sitting right in front of you, and the ducks are just these are ducks people feed and stuff in the middle of town, so they're just swimming around having a good time. They don't care. Um, there's not too many other dogs in my neighborhood that would jump in and try to catch them, so they don't care. And hopefully, we'll see what if that does anything. It might not, but I like to think about little things like that when I'm out running the dogs. Like, how can I kind of tweak something in them if I just do a behavior or something while we're out on a walk like that? And I don't
Yeah.
know. It might do nothing, but we'll see. It's in my head, it works. In my head, the logic works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys with pointing dogs will fly pigeons, and try to steady their dogs up. They'll
Right.
they'll they'll whoa them up and then fly pigeons in front of them and try to keep them from moving. But I don't do a lot of training with my dogs. It's not something that I enjoy. The dogs that I've got are well bred and they just kind of learn as they go. There's definitely things like that I could do that would make them better, but it's just not something that I've gotten around to doing yet, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think I'll speak for myself, at least. I don't know about you, Jared, but like I think I'm in a similar boat. Like, and that's me because I'm already taking them out just to exercise them, and like, okay, here's an opportunity. But to go out
Yeah,
to do dedicated training for me is really boring. I don't enjoy it. It doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. I should,
right,
but
right.
to your point, if you buy good enough DNA up front, you you
You can
you
get
can
by
you,
without
you
it.
can get by without it. And if you're just
Yep.
trying to go out and chase birds and hunt, you're not trying to win a title or a ribbon, um, which is my current philosophy is just pay for the genes and do what you can, teach the basics so they're not, they're in control and have a good time because I
Yeah,
don't
and
have
if
a
you
lot
can
of.
restrain, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you can restrain yourself, you can train while you're hunting. If they pounce on a bird that they see, you cannot shoot it. Right?
Well, it's funny because I was just talking about this episode before this, which hasn't come out while we're talking now, but listeners will have heard it already. I was talking to Jeff Lusk, who's really
Yeah,
into
I
to
yeah, I've talked to
cockers.
him on Instagram.
Oh,
He
cool.
has
Yeah,
cockers, yeah.
yeah, he's an awesome guy. But we're
He
talking
has
about
really good
how
dogs.
yes, and if we're talking about how if you have a pointing dog, especially when they're young, if you bump a bird, if you shouldn't shoot it, right? Ideally, and some people do,
Correct.
whatever. But that way the dog learns that I can't bump them, I have to hold them. But
Right.
that takes the hunter to have discipline. For the
Right.
flushing dog, if my dog gets out of range and flushes a bird, they will not
You
get
don't
the
have a
reward
choice.
because I'm not going to shoot because it's way out of
Right.
range, right? So
Right.
I don't have to have the discipline outside. Just don't shoot birds when they're a speck in the distance, which is pretty easy to do.
That's right.
Um, it kind of automatically gets built in. We were talking, trying to figure out why do our spaniels figure out how to stay in range so quickly, and that's kind of what we came up with. Is that right away they get taught pretty quick what works and what doesn't. And if I don't even shoot, they know like, well, that wasn't the result we're supposed to have. He didn't even try.
I think you're onto something. And for the average hunter that maybe hunts, I don't know, what does the average hunter hunt? Three, 4 times a month, would you say?
I
Maybe
I would
not
say
even
probably even
that.
less than that.
I would say the
Yeah.
average is less. Yeah, the average might be 3 or 4 times a season.
So yeah, so I mean, the dog doesn't have a chance to really learn as you go. And that,
Right.
for the pointing dogs, you need that training in the off season. But if you hunt a lot and you have good DNA, you can make a dog pretty good just by hunting with them and restraining yourself in those
Yep.
situations.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the other thing too is that if you don't hunt a lot, you have that urge to put meat in the bag, right? I have to come home with something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
this is
that's always the conflict. So I always get people that reach out to me and ask me about that stuff, and that's something I tell them, don't shoot it, no matter what. Don't shoot the bird if they bust it.
yeah, and
But
some
I hunt with guys that do, and they have flushing Britneys, and if you're okay with that, it is what it is.
you should have bought a Springer, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, well, it's some of us get into this mindset eventually, maybe not ever completely, but if you can psych yourself up into the mindset that I'm not here to bring a bird home, I'm here to have a good time.
hmm,
You can be more disciplined, right? And you also
yeah,
won't be disappointed if you have a bad day. But
right,
um, but you could be more disciplined because you're just if you think I'm there to watch the dog and to be out with my dog and out in nature and get my shotgun out of the safe and kind of get that mindset, you could be more disciplined about what you shoot, especially with pointing dogs, I imagine. But it's true of
right.
anything. Um,
And the more opportunities you have to hunt, it goes up exponentially,
Yeah.
right? It's
100%.
easier. It's easier to do that the more you hunt.
Yeah, yeah, because you're not like, oh, this is my only chance. To your point earlier,
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
is
right.
now your, like, oh, whatever. And you can be a safer hunter too. Not that we all should be safe all the time, but you won't be taking risks or risky shots or risky, oh, I'm
Correct.
gonna climb down here, and it's like, no, it's okay. You don't have to do that. Like, you don't need to be airlifted out of here today. Um,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know so I think all in all it's better to come in with that mindset if you can, although all of us have a little bit of bloodlust in some ways. We
well, we
like
wouldn't be
shooting
doing
birds
it
and
if
eating
we
the
didn't want
birds and
to
bringing them
shoot
home
birds.
and all
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
so it's not, you can't be perfect, but I think I try to have that mindset. I'm not very good at it.
yeah.
Yeah, Jared, do you have any other questions for Rob? Do you want to ask about gear? See what Jared asks.
I actually watched. It was actually funny. I actually watched one of your videos today because I'm a big pump gun guy, and I watched one because it said
Oh,
a pump action.
pump,
I was like, oh, I
pump
gotta
it
watch
up.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but you typically you run a over and under, yeah.
Um, I've kind of become a semi-auto guy of late.
Okay.
And that's because I'm hunting more chucker, I think.
Sure.
Ah,
That makes sense.
You need as many shells as you can get for those things. So it's really nice to have an extra third, fourth, or fifth. In Idaho, you don't need a plug, so you can have as many shells as your gun can hold. But so
Okay.
it's really nice
oh.
to have those extra shots and capitalize on those covey rises.
I think Idaho
So
just won the better bird hunting state just with that rule alone.
yeah. I actually I hunted with my over and under maybe 5% of the time this season.
Oh, okay.
Because what I've found is that when I first got the semi-auto, I was kind of switching back and forth because I really enjoy the over under for quail and rough grouse
Hmm.
because it swings faster. It's shorter, even though the barrels are the same length. You don't have the
Yeah.
length of the action, so it
Right,
swings faster, and you can have two different choke tubes, which is nice.
right.
Um, because quail typically are flushing at your feet. But what I
True.
found is that I was starting to, I was hunting so much with the semi-auto that I couldn't shoot the over under anymore.
Hmm.
I was missing birds because I was used to the other gun.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I can see that.
So now I almost exclusively hunt with the semi-auto, except for the rare occasion, if my dad's in town, I'll let him hunt with the semi-auto, or if I'm just like, today feels like an over-under day, or I'm gonna go try to shoot a limit a chucker with an over-under and see how that goes. Like then I'll bust it out for a special occasion. But for the most part, I'm a semi-auto guy now, I would
Okay.
say.
Got it. If
What do
I
you run?
I have a Benelli Montefeltro Silver.
Okay.
Nice,
Yeah.
that's a pretty gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's a beautiful gun. It's taken some falls now at this point. It's definitely a chucker gun, but it still looks pretty good.
Are you liking it? Are you happy with it? Or are you looking for something different? Or thinking
No,
about something?
I have no reason to get anything else. The only
Nice.
thing I would change about it, I was mentioning that in Idaho you don't need a plug.
Hmm.
I have the featherweight, I think is what they call it, feather lighter, featherweight version of it. So it actually comes with a shorter mag tube to save weight. So
Oh,
Oh,
gotcha.
I don't even have a plug. It just only holds three shells.
oh,
Oh,
wow. Okay.
gotcha.
So, but from what I understand, you can actually buy the regular mag tube and throw it on there.
Oh, very
No,
cool.
Yeah.
Are you
it's
running a
cool.
12 or a 20?
12 gauge. When
12
you're
gauge?
shooting a semi-auto, there's really no reason to hunt a sub gauge.
That makes
Because
sense.
there's not as much felt recoil,
Mm.
That's just
True.
my opinion.
Yeah, no,
And
that makes sense.
I need all the pellets I can get, especially since I hunt with non-toxic ammunition, so it's nice to have more pellets in your pattern.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you went into it. What non-tox are you running right now, or are you liking?
I have been using Federal Upland steel. I don't know if you guys have seen that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used
Yeah.
that.
It's
And like,
relatively inexpensive. I think I pay like 13 or 14 bucks a box.
That's not
okay.
bad.
Um, I hunt quail with 7.5s and I hunt chucker with sixes.
Okay.
Um, yeah, steel shot, and
Interesting.
it does the job, and I can keep lead out of my food, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the
Yeah.
same way. I don't think either of us. I haven't used lead in forever, maybe since I was a teenager. And Jared, I don't. You're pretty much non-tox now, aren't you?
I will run lead if I'm grouse hunting.
Okay.
But I also have older guns that if I'm going grouse hunting, I'm taking older guns with me.
Yeah,
Just for that one specific
either lead or
reason.
you're buying bismuth or something like that.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of
Nobody can
bismuth,
afford
but
bismuth if you can even find it. Nobody can afford it nowadays.
this is true. I happen to have some like leftover stuff, so I'm like kind of like squirreling that away. But if
Yeah,
I'm going grouse hunting, for me, if I'm going grouse hunting, it's kind of like it's not an everyday hunt, so it's kind of more like it's a special kind of hunt. So I'll take a different gun and I'll take lead just to shoot the older guns. But outside of
yeah,
that, I'm pretty exclusively steel, just because it's what we have around here. So
I,
yeah.
I tried the copper last year and I really liked it, but we have a Discord server for our podcast for our listeners and stuff, and we're chatting in there about it. Apparently, it's technically not considered non-toxic, even
Oh,
though it
really?
is. It's
yeah, it's
not.
not legal yet.
It's not listed in like their list of approved non-toxic shot. So even though it's
Gotcha.
sold, and I was bummed because I'm like I was shooting really well with it. And it could have been psychological, but that's fine. It was either way, it was shooting well. And yeah, so I was kind of a bummer. So I'm trying to find, I don't know, I have some bismuth laying around I haven't shot. So maybe I'll try that again. Or I
Shoot
go with
through
the
that.
Kent I go back to the Kent Fast still a lot too, but just similar to what you run, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I don't like about bismuth is that it fragments. I don't know if you guys have had the same experience with it. Because I was shooting
Yeah.
bismuth for a while,
Yep.
especially on pheasants, and I would find like pieces of pellets like in the meat, and that's not very pleasant. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's very good for lethality either when pellets are breaking. You're not going to get penetration, right?
Yeah.
So,
I I have bismuth and I have carried it and I have not shot a bird with it yet. I also haven't powdered my shotgun, which we had one listener stop listening to us because I said that. But I haven't powdered my shotgun with it, and at least one that I know of. And so it could just be small sample size. I just missed, but there were some pretty layup shots that I should have hit one of them at least, if not more. So I don't know if that was they were fragmenting and there wasn't enough oomph to bring down the rooster, or something, or the pattern was just wasn't good out of that particular gun. But it has me cautious about bismuth and why I was so happy with the copper. But I'll probably go back to steel for this season until copper gets approved, if it gets
yeah.
approved.
Yeah.
Well,
I had,
but you can hunt with copper, right? It's just that if you're going to hunt like waterfowl or something,
Right,
it's not approved for that.
right.
correct.
It's not, you
Yeah.
can't,
It's not
it's right,
non-toxic rated.
right.
Gotcha. But you can shoot birds with it. It's just
You could if
in those
you're
Yeah.
scenarios you can't use it.
right.
Yeah. As long as you're not in like a non-toxic required area, you can still
Yeah, like
shoot
a
it. It's just,
WMA or something.
yeah.
And I think about
Gotcha.
60% of the time I'm in a place that's required to be non-toxic, it seems.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So like that makes me like, I don't want to, and if I jump to a few places during the day, I don't want to have to be like, oh, change all my shells out. Did I get all the copper out? Like,
Totally.
ugh,
Yep.
that's not why I go hunting, to be like managing my, shell storage.
What's
Like,
in my vest? Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Like I'm gonna get in trouble for something stupid. But yeah, so I'll probably stick with steel for now until then. But it's good to hear someone else using steel. A lot of people knock it, but if it brings the bird down, it brings the bird down. Like if
Yeah. I mean, I've been hunting exclusively with steel for like 6 years now. Pretty much
nice,
as long as I've had the channel, I've been using non-toxic.
nice.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
So,
That's cool. I hope more
yeah,
people
it
start
works.
going to non-toxic. I mean, a lot of people have to, and a lot of people have, but I think overall, probably for the environment, for the other wildlife out there, and for yourself eating the meat, it's probably smart.
Well, and I think one of the things as hunters that we have to think about going forward, we're seeing stuff like what's going on in Oregon, um,
Hmm.
Yeah.
craziness, right? But we need to not give them the ammunition, right? So if they find out like, oh, we're killing, bald eagles or whatever because of lead
Yep.
shot, then that's like just one more thing they can use to try to shut us down from doing what we love to do. So, and it's better to do something on your own, I think, than to have your hand forced. And that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's better for us as well if you really think about it. If it's better for other animals and wildlife, it's going to be better for hunters and anyone else interested in it.
Yes.
But I think there's a lot of that too, where, I mean, I don't want to dive too deep into this kind of stuff, but we can. But I'll try to keep it surface level. But essentially, people get so polarized, and we'll just talk about hunting, that the middle ground becomes like impossible. But and the middle ground seems like somewhere neither side wants to go because it seems so far away. But
Hmm.
if those people just had a conversation about their perspectives on life and eating and the environment and the outdoors, they would probably agree on 90% of it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, to your point, if you don't if you bend a little bit and say, yeah, I use this because I care about the bald eagles and whatever, and I don't run my dogs in the spring because I don't want to hurt the chicks and the eggs, even though it's not legal anyhow most places. But
Right.
those kinds of things I think bring more folks together in the end, and to see like, oh, like you're hunting and I see what you're doing. If you're not trying to be cruel, you're not some violent monster who likes to kill things. You are ascertaining your own meat from the wild and participating in the food chain in a way
Yeah.
that is very difficult to do in today's world in a real way. And when people hear it that way, they're like, oh, it might not be for me, but I get it. I think you should be able to do that. And yeah, like you're saying in
Right.
Oregon, if folks aren't aware, there's um it's an initiative gaining signatures, and it's come up in the past. It's not the first time it's been around, but I think it's getting the most attention this time. That essentially bans what all hunting, fishing,
Fishing, yeah.
even like I
Killing
think
of
consume
livestock.
killing of
Cattle,
livestock. So that means leather,
Yeah.
beef, pork. Like
freaking.
It's pretty crazy.
it's pretty widespread. I don't imagine it would pass a statewide vote, but it's scary that that's out there and it has enough signatures that it has. It's pretty wild. So
Right.
yeah, no, that's a good point. I like your point about non-tox for that reason. That's good.
I'm curious to know, what do you guys think is the biggest reason that people don't use non-toxic?
They don't think it's effective and probably cost.
Yeah. Yeah, I think cost
Yeah.
is a barrier.
I think part of it is like I think steel right out the gate got a like kind of a bad rap. I mean, deserved because it kind of sucked in the very beginning.
Hmm.
Just because I don't think people understood it, and then on top of that, um, you had guns that were not. I don't think
Designed
that.
to.
Yeah, I don't think
Hmm.
they did enough research into that initially, and so you had guns that were end up getting damaged
Right.
because of the ammo. Um, and so you had like a bunch of stuff like right out the gate that was kind of negative towards it. Um,
Yeah.
it took a while for people to start understanding like it still works. You just have to have some, you have to do some differences. Um,
Yeah. Change
a
your
lot of
choke tube,
that. Yeah,
pattern your
different choke
gun.
Yeah.
tubes. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then change like, going I don't think you need to necessarily go up two sizes like was initially stated. Um,
Yeah.
I think you could probably go up less. I will say the one thing with steel that I really dislike a lot is I really don't like the velocity thing going on right now where everyone's trying to get to Mach Jesus speed with steel. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think we need to see 16, 1700 feet per second steel loads. They don't seem to pattern great at all. Um, I would like to see that go away. It's probably not, but and then so I think that's like a lot of the big parts of it. It was just like the initial people hold on to stuff a lot. And so when someone says, "Oh, this thing doesn't work," I don't like it because of X, Y, and Z. Well, that X, Y, and Z happened 30 years ago, but people still hold on to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, people also tell us all the time, like involved in our Pheasants Forever chapter here in our counties, and I'll constantly get, well, there's no pheasants here anyway. I'm like, okay, well, here's a couple pictures from tailgate shots of limits I've had. So where do those birds come from? And people just
Right.
they get that mentality of like, nope, pheasants are all gone, and that's it. And I don't know if that's like Jared saying people like to hold on to things, which I think is true, or like if I admit they are there, I don't have a reason to say I'm not hunting anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But but also with the lead stuff, I think this might ruffle some feathers, but that's okay. Um, we don't make money in this podcast either. But but no, people don't like to be told what to do, right? And
Yeah.
so when you're
Right.
said you can't use lead anymore at this spot, they're like, screw you, I'll do what I want. And more so with
Hmm.
hunting because we all have our ways we like to hunt. And hunting is a traditional thing that for a lot of us
Mhm.
is passed down through our families. And it's
Yes.
something we don't like to change. We like to do it the old way as much as we can. And so when the government says you can't do it anymore in certain places, we're like, a lot of our gut reactions are, nah, it's bull crap. You're not gonna tell me what to do when it comes to my hunting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to go on the record and say that I'm not anti-lead by any means. Like if people can hunt with whatever they want to hunt with. That's just, I'm just saying that this is the way that I hunt and I'm just
Yeah,
curious,
yeah. No,
Oh yeah,
you're
no, it's
good.
yeah, I get it. I think we're all kind of the same. Like I hunt with what I hunt with because I like to hunt with what I hunt with. Like I hunt with a
Yeah,
Yeah.
pump gun because I like to hunt with a pump gun. Um,
Yep.
so I think and I think that's part of it too, is because like you have like these guys that like going back to what Matt was saying, like they like to the tradition and stuff like that. They like to use their granddad's gun, or they like to use their
right.
dad's gun. That becomes significantly more expensive when I can't use, the cheaper option, which is steel, and I have to use something different because my gun's not rated for steel, and
Right.
then people are like complaining of, it kind of like snowballs the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
And at that point, it feels like an attack on hunting because it's
yes,
restricting what you like to do, which is maybe using
right.
your granddad's side by side,
Right.
Yeah.
and it feels like hunting's being attacked, when in reality it's like, no, we've just learned more. And lead's really
Right.
not great for a lot of different reasons when it comes to maybe not effectiveness. It's very good at taking down birds, but it's not good for a lot of
Yes.
other things. So I think
Hmm.
that's probably part of it too. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm not judging them for using lead if they do. A lot of people I know do. It's just um yeah, like you said, Rob, I haven't used
Personal
it in a
choice.
long time. And the original reason I did is because I knew I had to bounce back and forth. And I'm like, I don't want to have to shoot two different speeds, two different types of shot. I'm just going to get one and go, even if it's not as effective, if I could be more effective in a place that did allow lead. And now it's become more
Yeah.
of like I think it's the right thing to do as I get older.
Yeah.
For me,
I,
I'm going to
yeah, I
clarify,
feel
for
the same
me.
way.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, it's yeah, that's a fun topic and one of those topics that, people go back
Controversial.
and
It's gonna
forth
be,
on.
I'm sure
Yeah.
we're gonna get a lot of feedback
Yeah.
about the conversation.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, people can
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
hop in the Discord and chat with it. I think most of the folks in the Discord are probably on the same page with us, but if not, get in this
That's okay.
episode's channel and let us know what you think because it's a good conversation. And same with the stuff in Oregon. Like I think as hunters, we really have to get out there and show people that we're not the monsters that the anti-hunting side makes us out to be. Well, maybe
Yeah.
there is someone out there who's a bloodlusting, psychopath who just wants to kill things. They would be that no matter what, if they were hunting or not. And the vast majority, extreme vast majority, enjoy hunting for different reasons. And if
Right.
folks
And
knew
I think
that,
we care about the environment. We care about the the quarry that we chase and all the other animals that are in the environment too.
Oh yeah.
Generally. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. And I think honestly, the biggest detriment to conservation and hunting, and mainly hunting and fishing and whatnot, is folks that don't think about food choices, right? Like if someone's just like, I don't care where my food came from, which is most probably Americans, and that's fine. I'm not saying people to change, but if there's a vegan, a vegetarian, whatever, who is out there and they're really thinking hard about their food choices and they made the decision for themselves to not eat meat or food processed, that comes from animals, like I'm glad that at least they're thinking about where their food comes from because most folks
Right.
don't, right?
Correct.
Like my kids don't like hunting. They didn't inherit that gene from me to enjoy hunting. But I made sure they understood like where their food comes from. Like in that when I do go hunting, I explain to them like here's what happened and here's like what's going to happen to that meat and you can try it if you want. But I think most people don't, and I think that's when hunting gets kind of doesn't get seen for what it really is. And I think if me and a vegan were talking, and unless they're really strong animal rights, if they're doing it because they just maybe think meat's not great for people, then we could probably say like, isn't the pheasant meat that I harvested, assuming it's a wild, pheasant, better than the KFC chicken meat? Like, isn't
Right.
that much better for me and for a person? So can we at least say I'm probably closer to you than the person that's eating I still eat a lot of meat like from factories, but because I don't have a choice, but for that kind of thing. So I think if more of
I would
us,
totally agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, I think if more of us went down that thought path instead of seeing the animal rights people and the vegans and whatever as the enemy, it's more like we're have a similar mindset. We just came to a different conclusion. And like for me, I stopped eating red meat some time ago. Every once in a while I'll have something, but I
Hmm.
just I toured a slaughterhouse for a job interview a while back, and I was like, this isn't right. Like, I don't, for me personally, I thought this process, I don't want meat from this place. Like, I don't want
Matt, I
meat
think you
from
cut
this.
out, bud.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can still hear him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I lost him for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I just saying like I wanted this tour. If you didn't hear me, I wanted a tour of a slaughterhouse, and then there's cows, and I'm like, this is not how meat is supposed to be ascertained from animals. Like this is disrespectful to life, in my opinion. I'm not judging anyone else. Like if my brother shoots a deer and wants to give me some venison, cool. But like I every time I look at a steak or a burger now, I'm just like I remember that experience there. I'm like, that was not how I want life to be treated that I'm going to eat. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to eat anymore. Every once in a while, yeah, McDonald's order a cheeseburger every once in a while, and every once in a while I'll have a steak. But it's tough. It's much tougher than it used to be. And those are the kind of things I think more of us need to be thinking about. And hunting will
Hmm.
become maybe not more popular amongst folks to do, but much more accepted and appreciated amongst the masses. I'll get off my
I
soapbox
think that
now.
hunting, no, it's all good. I think that hunting makes you more connected to your food and makes you kind of leads you to think about those things.
Yeah.
You're you see the life and death of this animal, and you're like, well, where does this hamburger come from? And then it kind of makes you think.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you still, did you cut out, Rob? Oh,
I can hear you now.
oh, you can hear me now. Yeah. Sorry. Your internet must be lagging. The internet hates hunting. It's like, stop. Fucking hunting.
Yeah, they're shutting us down.
Oh man. No, you're right though. You're 100% right. And whether that's like I have a friend who grew up farming and he had the same thing. He's like, I don't hunt, but I grew up having to kill my own animals that I raised, and that really made me understand food and the food cycle and why I should appreciate what I have. It's like, wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need more of that perspective in the world, I think.
I agree.
Cool. Well, we've ran a little long, but we had a great conversation. Jared, any other questions for Rob?
Nope.
No? Yeah, Rob, anything for us? Any questions for us or any other topics you're hoping to cover?
No, it was great talking to you guys. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, likewise, likewise.
It's cool to talk about this stuff, especially during the off season. It's been a while since I really thought about hunting
Yeah,
and stuff. It's getting me stoked.
Yeah.
I think at this point, that's the main reason we have the podcast is to talk about it in the off season. Like it forces the conversation. No, it's good though. It is good to talk about and think about because yeah, otherwise we forget. Um, Rob, how can listeners find you? I know Northwest Wingshooters is on YouTube. I will have a link in the podcast description. Any other place they can follow you online or anywhere else?
On Instagram is where I'm most active as far as social media goes.
Okay.
If people want, I've turned off comments on YouTube. So if people want to reach out to me, they can message me on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. I'm not as active on Facebook, but I do have a Facebook page
Okay.
that they can read. And then I also have a website. It's northwestwingshooters.com.
Cool. Cool. I'll have all those links in the podcast description if you're interested. Give Rob a follow. Check out his videos if you haven't already. They're really fun. Even if you're a dedicated flushing dog guy like Jared and I are, it's fun watching those Brittany's work. I'll tell you, it'll make you want one, or at least
Maybe we can get together and film some flushing dog content with you guys.
Let's do it,
Absolutely.
man. Yeah, we're not that far away. If you're up this way, or we come down your way, that'd be fun. I mean, maybe we even do a little hunt with both and see what happens. It might be ugly and awful, but it'd be fun. It might make good TV. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Rob. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. Have a good one.
Me too.
Thanks for listening to the Go Flush Yourself podcast. You can continue the conversation on our Discord server. The link is in the podcast description. You can also follow along with Matt and Jared on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to support the podcast, you can subscribe to the Go Flush Yourself on Patreon for the easy monthly cost of only $2. You can also check out our shop and pick up a Go Flush Yourself sticker, shirt, or other merchandise. All links are in the podcast description.